In this film, a boy and girl with special abilities who could see the dead are featured. We are introduced to Meijo, a magical boy, at the start of the narrative. Together with his friend, he was performing a magic act. He used to perform his act in this manner on the streets, but his magic was now very dated. The people gathered there had no interest in his magic because of this. Meijo then notices a girl standing there among all the people who, to him, seemed extremely strange. Meijo keeps up with the girl. However, as soon as the girl becomes aware that someone is pursuing her, she comes to a stop in front of an old cabinet. Meijo has an idea at this point. He believes that after he frees the witch from a cupboard, he will use magic to drive her away in front of the crowd. And perhaps people will find this magic appealing. He now approaches the strange Kong girl. He makes her an offer to work on his show. She does not reject Kong because she also needs the money. Then Meijo is revealed to be the one who is performing in a hall. This time, a sizable audience had come to see his performance. He casts his spell over a nearby cabinet. He throws a black cloth over the opening that his spell causes in the cabinet. In the shape of a ghost, that black cloth was flying through the air. Meijo queries the ghost, "What brought you here to do?" "Retaliation for his passing," he claims. "He is the one among these who killed me." However, everyone who went to the show there was frightened. That ghost now points at a young woman. The black cloth ghost catches her as soon as he points to her. Now, that ghost was no longer there. However, the girl covers herself with that cloth. Then Meijo brings an axe and begins to chant. Then he strikes her. The woman who was covering the girl collapsed. That cabinet too closes. There was no girl present when Meijo took that cloth off. As they approach from behind, Meijo's friends cover the cabinet with a cloth. The cabinet had vanished when Meijo took off that cloth. But the audience member's girl returns home unharmed. Meijo's program was very well received. After the performance, let's take a look at Kong, who portrayed that ghost. In other words, Kong was the ghost you saw in black. All of this was part of Meijo's plan. And one of their teammates was the girl who was seated among them. Meijo also had a close friend. Kong continues after the work is completed. He is stopped by Meijo, who informs him that everyone is leaving. "Will you accompany us?" But Kong declines and departs for home. Kong speaks with her mother when she gets home. Here, it is clear that she formerly lived alone. Her birthday was today. She was alone in her chair, enjoying cake. In her home, Kong had also constructed a tent, which she slept in due to the size of her home. She also feared sleeping in such a solitary position. Kong experienced a sensation similar to someone opening her tent zip when she wanted to sleep there. She notices 2 dead kids in front of her. Kong is then seen standing by the side of the road, where those 2 kids had passed away. Kong informs the police that a man was very inebriated, and he injured these kids in an accident while operating a drunken vehicle. Because those 2 deceased kids were the ones who told her this. Here, we learn that Kong had the ability to see the dead. Kong was dining alone the following day while she was on the show's set. Meijo's friend gave her a very close inspection. What Kong dislikes, and she moves forward from there. Meijo arrives and confronts her for this reason. "Where are you going?" it says. "Her house," she says. "You cannot leave today," he says. "Each day, you leave with an excuse. You'll need to stay with us today. We're going to have lunch as a team, so hurry. You come with us." Kong must consent after Meijo makes repeated demands. She follows them, too. Meijo's friend was now letting everyone know as they were eating. "Are you aware? Last night, my grandmother came into my dream. She was berating me constantly. She also questioned why you didn't visit me when I was still alive." Kong laughs a lot when she learns this. She was laughing aloud and was very inebriated. She was acting strangely there as well. Meijo is next to her as she repeatedly calls him names. "I told you not to come here," she says. "What brought me here, and why?" Meijo's shirt is torn by the woman. She apologizes to everyone after that, and proceeds to leave. Everyone on her team was astonished by her behavior. It is revealed that Meijo's friend was leaving the following day. He receives a call from Kong as he is leaving the airport, who apologized to her for the night's inappropriate behavior. Kong can hear screams coming from the painting in his home during the conversation. She feels as though a soul is emerging from it when she looks in that direction. Poor Kong sits on one side of her home in fear. The door to her home eventually rings. Meijo, her boss, was present when she went to look, because he heard the sound of her scream on the phone. And that's why he came to know about her well-being. There was nothing to feed him in Kang's house, except for a 2-day-old cake. She decorates it according to her and presents it to him. When he starts going from here, he sees a child in front of him, which was hidden in the corner. When he asks Kong about it, she tells him that this child lives in our neighborhood, and maybe he is playing hide-and-seek. "Come, let's play with him," Meijo says. But that child was missing when he saw him there again. The same child can be seen there once more in the corner. Alongside Kong, he hides there. He runs away quickly after scaring the kid. Meijo had left as well. Kong makes a call to her friend after he leaves. She explains to her that, as you may know, my boss had visited my home. Meijo was dozing off in his home at the time. A person then walks through his bed, which his eyes alight. The same child was in his home when he turned on the light and noticed it. What he witnessed at Kang's home. That youngster was standing behind him when he looked in the mirror and saw himself. He becomes frightened upon seeing this and tumbles. He calls Kong as soon as he exits the house. "Inform her that the neighbor's child is currently staying at my home." Kong brings alcohol to Meijo and advises taking a sip first. "Then you'll know what I'm trying to tell you." She whispers, "Listen, I see dead people," in his ear. "I can see the dead. And that kid might want to talk to us." They both enter the home once more. The youngster touches Meijo's shoulder once more. Kong touches the child's hand when she does so. Then she has a thought or a vision. When they visit the same visual location, where a female accident occurred, the woman's child had passed away. She was still alive, though. Meijo dials the ambulance right away. The child and his mother are taken in the ambulance in the morning. The youngster thanks Kong and Meijo as soon as the ambulance departs. That after they saved his mother's life, he vanishes. Kong then drives Meijo to the bank of the river and informs her that I was also dead a few years ago. My breathing actually stopped for a while. I was in an accident while riding the school bus. I passed away briefly. I was somehow spared. But my close friend passed away. My friends and other dead people's ghosts then started appearing to me. After that, everyone started avoiding me. I was abandoned by even my mother and sister. Kong walks to the riverbank after telling everyone this, and shouts while saying, "How long can you keep me to yourself, my friend? Online, I have a lot of friends. How will you keep them out of my vicinity?" Actually, those individuals could also see Kang's friend's ghost, who once shared a home with him. And no one wanted to live with Kong because of this fear. Meijo adds, "Cheap witch, you can't harm Kong without me here." Since both depart from this location, Kong and Meijo go to a bar the following day, where Kong once more consumes excessive amounts of alcohol. She is to drop Meijo off at her residence. She, however, declines to visit her home. Meijo brought her to his house for that reason. Whenever they went to bed at night, water then started to fall on Meijo's face, which his eyes alight. Upon raising his head, the ghost of Kang's friend then appeared from the roof. Who is frightened Meijo? Kong touches Meijo's eyes with her hand. Says, "Don't focus on this side. If you don't look at her, she will leave." Meijo is terrified, though. Kong makes a tent for him as a result. Now, these two were sharing a tent. The friend of Meijo arrives here in the morning, who had traveled for work, who Meijo left the airport for. But now, she had returned. She was enraged by everything she saw. She is very rude to Kong. "I know," she says to her. Even your family cannot claim to be your friends. All of them left you. Likewise, if I were in your shoes, I would have passed away years ago. After listening to her, Meijo tells her to be quiet. Kan felt awful about what Meijo's friend had said. She departs sobbing. When Meijo's crew was getting ready for their next performance the following morning, Meijo was devastated when Kan decided not to visit. Kan was cleaning her home at the time. Online friends of hers visit her in person. Additionally, they brought food for her. When he sees them, Kan is overjoyed. Currently, they eat and converse a lot. Meijo then makes a call. Who is expressing to her his deep longing for her. He'd like to talk to her. Kan now gets ready at night and goes to meet Meijo. She therefore began to watch that magic show while on the way. Then she spots the soul of her friend in the crowd. When she attempted to flee from her. On the stage, she stumbles. Behind her, there were a lot of hands. She was being held by them when Meijo arrived. He incorporates that tense moment into the performance, which was well liked by the public. As they were leaving, Kan then commands him to be honest with him. Are you concerned about me? Or am I ruining your life as a result of me? Why are you saying this? Meijo asks. In actuality, without you, I am nothing. I desire to live my entire life with you. Kan then drives him home. Meijo was leaving her home in the morning. Kang's friend's soul notices him as he walks away. Meijo's car collides with the crane on the way there. He was saved, too. That was the surprising part. The crane was empty of a driver. The moment Meijo emerges, on top of him had fallen a huge signboard. Kan was cleaning her home at the time. She receives a locket that belonged to a friend. She picks up the locket and walks into the hallway, where Meijo is on stage. He demonstrated his magic. She chooses to sit among those who believe in magic for this reason. Once the wardrobe has opened, out of it emerges a ghost dressed in black. When Meijo questions her about her murderer, she then points in a different direction. Later, however, she identifies Kan. He is led into her wardrobe by her. Everybody is very frightened, because their show did not include this magic. Everyone was taken aback. Meijo opens the wardrobe when Kan was imprisoned inside the aquarium's water. He was attempting to free her, when he uses an axe to try to smash the aquarium. As a result, he falls to the ground after flying. He was also asleep. Kan was in the aquarium at the time. She pulls the locket out and begins handing it to her pal. From here, the story develops. On the day Kang's school bus was involved in a collision. In reality, Kan and her friend had a close friendship. This locket belonged to Kang's friend, which was costly and the final emblem of her grandmother. Kan, however, also admired this locket a lot. She asks her friend to wear it for a while. Once she puts that locket on, the bus then got into trouble. The youngsters all fell into the river. They were concerned when the rescue team brought them out. Who should receive treatment first? They could only save a person's life at this point. When they observe Kan wearing a necklace, they are aware of her wealthy family background. That is why they attempt to save her life first. But Kang's pal had passed away. Kan is then brought to the hospital. The locket was removed by the doctors and gave Kang's mother the item. She neglected to store it. And right now, thanks to this locket, Kang's pal was standing behind her. Her spirit was straying. The current scene is shown once more. Kan is wearing her friend's locket there. When she puts the locket on, she emerged from the tank. Meijo was still asleep though. They are both brought to the hospital. When she regains consciousness and observes Meijo's state, she makes the decision to leave him. But when Meijo learns about this, he eventually comes to his senses. He calls her, stops her, and she begins to sob. Kan, however, keeps going. When Kan was about to leave this city, on the airplane, she was seated. A flight attendant then approaches her. When the flight attendant speaks to her, the soul of her friend then appeared. The aircraft then takes off. Meijo was there, waiting for Kong while she sat in the airport. This announcement reaches him that our aircraft is returning. There is a problem with it. Additionally, they were discussing the same plane that Kong was traveling on. Meijo is overjoyed to learn this. He now converses with Kong whenever he sees her. I really love you, he tells her. I want to spend my entire life with you. You can't just leave me here. However, Kong orders her to look upward, where the soul of her friend was. She says you still care about me, due to the fact that she will spend the rest of her life with me. Yes, I still adore you, declares Meijo. They approached one another closely. They were overjoyed, too. It's a happy ending, and the movie ends there.